Imagine a time when just one ACC basketball team could make the NCAA tournament. 50 years ago, regardless of national rankings, the winner of the ACC tournament got the bid. That was the case in 1974 when NC State, #1 in the nation, faced #4 Maryland in the ACC championship game.
It almost made you physically sick to know that we've got to beat these guys one more time just to advance into the NCAA tournament.
Well, when you talk about pressure, there probably isn't any more in college basketball unless you're playing in the finals of the NCAA tournament than it was when we played in the ACC tournament back then.
All-American David Thompson.
David Thompson was the ACC Player of the Year and All-American. And senior center Tommy Burleson brought a little extra motivation to the matchup with Maryland and their center, Len Elmore.
The Pack is really fired up.
When Tommy Burleson was named second team All-ACC and Elmore was on the first team, Coach Song put that article on Tommy's locker in the locker room. So that leads me to Tommy being just the key player in that specific game.
Well, they focused on David, and Lenny said he could stop me.
David made a difference because we had to adjust our defense, which gave, someone like a Tom Burleson the chance to shine.
David was unstoppable, and that's why Lefty had to get 2 or 3 guys on him. That's why I was one-on-one, and one-on-one, I was eating people alive. I scored on everybody.
Nothing could slow down the dynamic duo that night. Thompson dropped in 29. Burleson connected on 18 of 25 shots for 38 points and 13 rebounds, earning his second straight ACC Tournament MVP award.
It was a tremendous performance by him. I have to admit that as good a defensive player as I was, there wasn't a whole lot that I could do to stop him.
I don't know if I've ever seen a better clutch performance than the 38-point game that Tommy had in that ACC tournament final.
NC State captured the ACC tournament title with a 103-100 overtime win. Still known as the greatest game in the history of the ACC. From there, it's on to the NCAA tournament field of 25, with sights set on another trophy.
When North Carolina State and another era was
the Pack played their first 2 games in Reynolds Coliseum, beating Providence by 14 and Pittsburgh by 28. But in that game against Pitt, David Thompson played a season-low 10 minutes after a frightening fall left him motionless.
That night, we realized that there was more to basketball than just the game. We became more concerned about David's life, his future.
We see him get carried out on a stretcher. You look around in the huddle and everybody's crying, just worried about David. The biggest moment maybe of our whole career was the moment when he was brought back to Reynolds Coliseum and we realized that he was okay. The whole team really, I think, just abandoned the huddle and the timeout and the game and just went over and started hugging him.
Thompson had 1 week to recover before the Final Four played down the road in Greensboro. The semifinal opponent, UCLA, a rematch of a December game played in St. Louis.
UCLA game in St. Louis.
They battled Bill Walton and the Bruins, leading by 1 at the half, but UCLA outscored the Pack 52-33 in the second to win by 18.
The game in St. Louis made us overconfident, and the game in St. Louis gave them impetus of how much more they had to work and how much better they had to become to give us a game.
I think we're a much improved team over the team we were when we played them the first time. I think we'll be ready for this game.
People before, I think they've blown up the UCLA game too much because they said it, was a rematch of the century and everything. We're going into, right now, as Coach Sloan says, we're going into the NCAA semifinals. And this is what we've been working for all year. And the UCLA game is our next game, so that is our most important game to us right now.
They said all the right things then, but deep down they knew the lone loss of the season to UCLA was exactly what was needed heading into round 2 against a program that had won 7 straight national titles.
People in North Carolina felt we could win. But as for the nation, they say, well, it's UCLA, they can't be UCLA. John Wooden saying this is his greatest team ever.
Tao starts up the lane, fires a jumper, and he missed it. Tapped up by Burleson.
They went toe-to-toe, matching basket for basket until late in the second half.
They had the game wrapped up with a couple minutes to go, and we were able to come back from 7 down with 2.5 minutes to go.
It wasn't until the second overtime that the bout would end. NC State 80, UCLA 77 in double overtime. Thompson went for 28, Burleson had 20, and Tao tallied 12. On the opposite side, playing all 50 minutes, Bill Walton scored 29 points with 18 rebounds, but he was denied the chance to win his third straight national championship.
We had our chances in the March 23rd, 1974 game in Greensboro. Not that I remember the date, not that I remember the score, 80-77. Not that I remember it was a double overtime game. Not that I remember that we led by significant margins most of the second half. Not that I remember that we were impossibly ahead at the end of the second overtime and still lost the game. And that is on me, and that is a stain and stigma on my soul forever.
For NC State, the mission wasn't complete. They had a Monday meeting with Marquette.
I remember Coach Sloan, he was not going to let us let down for a championship game. I mean, he started getting ready for Marquette the second the UCLA game was over. He made us all realize that, hey, we're not done yet. We came here to win the national championship, not just beat UCLA.
Staying true to their coach's plan, the Pack took care of Marquette 76-64 to win the school's first national basketball championship. A team for the ages, then and now.
I think if you look at the top 10 college basketball teams of all time, top 20, we're generally mentioned. Obviously, from our perspective, we always feel like we should be a notch or two higher. And even 50 years later, I think the same thing is still said about that team. It's one of the best teams ever to play college basketball.